So thank you, Naomi, for receiving us today. Can you please briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Naomi McKenzie, and I'm one of the co-founders of Kitro.
That is wonderful. So what is Kitro? Tell us more about Kitro.
Yeah, so at Kitro, we're measuring, monitoring, and tackling food waste in hotels, restaurants, and canteens, and we use artificial intelligence to automate the entire process.
So what is Kitro exactly? What is your mission?
At Kitro, we're simplifying the process of food waste management so that we can bring back the value of food so it's appreciated and not wasted.
Okay, wonderful. Now, tell me more about your background. You graduated from EHL in 2016, if I remember well. In 2017, you were founding Kitro, co-founding Kitro with Anna Hoffman. Why so quickly? How did it happen?
We had what was the initial idea of Kitro during university, and we knew we wanted to build it. We had to work 6 months to save up as much money as we could, so that we could start Kitro.
Yeah.
But basically we said, if we don't do it now, we're probably never going to do it, because
Absolutely.
we're never going to have a time where we have so little responsibilities or no family, no kind of financial responsibilities. So.
Makes sense. And what kind of support did you get back then? Because obviously maybe the interest for these kind of topics wasn't that important. I mean, in comparison to today, I mean, there's been a lot of development in the past few years. What kind of support did you get for your business when you started Kitro?
So the first initial support that we got was actually through Climate Kick, which is an EU-funded program for startups, and it was just initially a 5K grant that helped us a lot to validate that we could actually start Kitro. We got additional support from the Swiss government, from universities, so ETH also supported us with one of their entrepreneur programs, and we really had the benefit that we're not selling like a nanotechnology. We're building a company that tackles food waste, and food waste is something that everyone can understand.
Absolutely.
And so when we presented, it was really like, okay, food waste is bad. They have a solution. It uses cool technology, and they're doing something against food waste. So that it was an easier selling point for us.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Now, talking about food waste, obviously this is a big number. A lot of people know about it. 1/3 of the food we produce worldwide is either wasted or lost, and there's still so many people that are still undernourished. How can you explain that? Like, what is wrong in the actual food system, in the current food system?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. It's a big question, I know, but yeah, well, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, for us, we think a lot of it is just a lack of overview of what's actually happening and where we're losing food waste along the entire supply chain. We haven't been able to really quantify the problem and what the sources are, so it's hard to tackle it. And then you have problems when it comes to transportation or distribution of food waste, when it comes to the awareness of every individual, right? We live in an abundance of food, so for us to throw away a banana, talking us now living in a country like Switzerland, has no significance. It's arrived, we have no idea how it got to us, but for us to throw it away is very easy. Whereas in another country, they don't have these luxuries, so it's a massive lack in awareness.
Yeah, that makes sense. And now, can you tell me more about how the device that you developed actually works? So it's a scale, if I understood well. Tell me more about how it works from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, so basically in the hospitality industry, what we saw is that the issue of food waste is not really tackled because we don't know how much is being thrown away, why it's occurring, where it's occurring, and where the key problem areas are. Then we looked at what solutions exist to tackle the problem. We saw that if somebody wants to measure their food waste, they have to type into a tablet or write down what they're throwing away. And so we wanted to tackle the problem by looking at how could we make measuring food waste so easy that you don't have to type anything in or write anything down. And so basically we're using image processing and machine learning, which means we take pictures of every food item that is thrown into the trash bin. We have a scale which captures the weight, and then we capture the time. And our customers get an analytics dashboard so they can see how much they're throwing away, what food item, and where they can make the most savings in terms of cost, but also food waste. Yeah,
no, that's absolutely wonderful. And one question, obviously that data is super important, but how can your customers best use the data? Like, they have all this data, what do they do with it?
Yeah, so it really depends on what we identify. So we measure in the kitchen area, but we also measure in the dishwashing area.
Yeah, okay.
And one customer, for instance, we saw a trend in their data that they are throwing away birchermüsli, so this yogurt and grains. They're throwing it away every day, overportioning it by 300 grams. And so we'd look at what is the average portion that they're putting out in the buffet and then tell them to reduce the amount that they're serving. Another property, they were serving a Greek dish with pita bread, and the whole dish would come back empty. We wouldn't see anything from this dish except for the pita bread, and always had a few bites out of it. And so they changed the supplier of the pita bread, and then there was no more pita bread in the... So it can either be quality, it can be portioning, it can be communicating with the consumer or staff training. So it really depends on what we find in the data.
Better make orders, I guess, also just being more aware of what you waste and how you can better address the problem. That's wonderful. So now, what about the customers? Who are your customers?
Yeah, so we work with everything from luxury hotels, seasonal hotels, as well as canteens, so staff canteens and academic canteens, but even retirement homes, hospitals. So for us, what's important is that, well, it's not important, but it's the business model is that there is food waste. They have to have a certain size of the property, so they're serving at least 100 meals per day, and that means that they have a volume where the reductions really lead to a positive ROI financially and sustainably.
That makes a lot of sense. And now, can you sum up or talk about Kitro's impact on a yearly basis, for example? And how do you measure that impact? I imagine that because you're a tech company, it's easy to measure your impact, but yeah, how do you do that? And what is your impact?
So our goal with every customer is to reduce their food waste and their food cost. Looking at the environmental perspective, we aim to reduce the avoidable food waste of every customer by 60%.
Okay.
And so you can imagine every 1 kilo of food waste, the average CO2 equivalent is 2.5 kilos of CO2 equivalent wasted every time you throw away 1 kilo of food waste. So it really depends on the size of the property, but it's a significant footprint that we can reduce per location.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. Now, final question. Can you describe Kitro in 3 words?
Yes, I would say it's sustainable, high-tech, and forward-thinking.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, any last comments, things you want to share with the audience about this topic of food waste?
I think that Kitro is one tool that focuses on one industry, but if we really want to tackle the issue of food waste, it's going to take the shift in awareness of every individual. So I think it's really about small changes that everyone can make, whether it's thinking at home before you throw away a yogurt that's maybe a day over the expiration, or when you go to a buffet, you know, talking to them and talking about that you don't need the buffet to be filled, thinking about if you're buying blueberries in the middle of the winter, and just making small changes in your daily actions can actually help us to tackle this really global problem.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and congratulations for your work. It's very inspiring. Thank you
so much.
Thank you.